All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
Welcome you to Waco. Love gonna try for the lead.
With a right hand over the left shoulder.
Down the lane, no help.
Huge make.
Here's none. Extra pass. The Love Machine.
Baylor's gonna bounce it out. 81-72 is your final score.
The Love Machine. There will be no singing, I think, going to break.
Never heard that before.
On this program. Don't tease Blaine, though. He'll do it. Blaine is quite the singer.
He'll bring a guitar next season.
Yes, he will. Piano, the whole deal. He can do it all. What's Trending is presented by Tim Daly Nissan, part of the Tim Daly Auto Group, serving Utah since 1968. BYU loses to Baylor 81-72, 12-3 overall, 0-2 in the Big 12. We begin with Mark Pope on his thoughts of how the game went.
I was proud of my guys. They fought hard and didn't go the way we wanted it to. But I'm really proud of them. I thought they put a ton of fight into it. We could have executed a little bit better on the offensive and defensive ends down the stretch, but that's a space we're going to have to keep growing.
Okay, Dave, that was Mark's general thoughts on the game. What were some of your top takeaways?
3 quick things. BYU played better last night. They are capable of performing like a top 20 team. First half, I thought they looked as good as they've looked all season, but they've got to do it for 2 halves. 2 games in the Big 12, 2 bad second halves, and 2 defeats. They're good enough, and it's not a mystery of whether or not they can compete in this conference, but they got to compete for both halves. The foul shot disparity has fans up in arms. It was 28-14 last night. Cincinnati got a lot of calls in the Saturday game. But this is a BYU offense that attacks from the outside in the no foul zone, right? What do you hear a coach say? Don't foul a 3-point shooter or someone who's out there shooting.
Trevor Nell continues to draw those, by the way.
He can finally get some of those too. But that's where they're not getting, but Cincinnati and Baylor, they attack the rim. They've got some size, but their guards are going in. Little lazy defense, a lot of reaches, get a lot of fouls, but these 2 teams have attacked the rim. They get fouls, they go to the free throw line. If BYU wants to get to the free throw line more often, they've got to attack the rim. And we saw a little of that with Foose last night as he's getting his legs back. And the third thing, I thought, Ali Khalifa, the offense runs better with Khalifa on the floor right now. So that's going to be a transition of, but Khalifa's outside and Foose is inside. You want to get to the free throw line, if that's your thing, then it's Foose. But if you want to run the offense, get the ball to the shooters, it's running much smoother with Khalifa, who had another set of amazing passes last night. Didn't score, but a shot. But those are the 3 things that I'm looking for. Optimistic for sure, but they've got to clean some things up, or this is going to be a rinse and repeat.
Yeah, certainly Saturday at UCF, you have to win that game. I don't see a scenario where BYU makes the NCAA tournament and loses at UCF. I just think BYU has to win at UCF. Feels dramatic in Game 3 to say, something like that. But to your point, BYU played much better. We'll get to that in a second. But BYU did not, first off, guard its yard, as it says, well enough. The athleticism and the length of Baylor and teams like Baylor in the Big 12 is the biggest difference between the WCC and the Big 12. There are Jalen Bridges and Jacoby Walter and Nunn and Love. These guys are quick, fast, long, versatile. That gives BYU some trouble. BYU has some of those guys, but the majority of BYU's team is more good team-connected basketball, good shooters, gonna work hard, gonna hustle, gonna run the system, gonna buy in, gonna be a great teammate. That is the majority of what BYU's team is. BYU is not built to get to the free throw line. They are built to get out in transition, play connected, shoot open threes, play solid defense. BYU got beat off the dribble way too much, created 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s, odd man rushes, if you will, to use the hockey phrases. Now BYU's reaching. In football, you hold if you're getting beat off the edge. In basketball, it's the reach, it's those fouls. I do not feel as passionately as the majority of you at home about the officiating last night. I feel like BYU didn't defend well enough. If you don't want a speeding ticket, don't speed. And BYU sped a lot in this game, if you will. The free throws really hurt, though. That is the biggest difference in the game. Turnovers also, 14 from BYU. That is a thing you can control completely. Whether I give you the basketball or not is up to me, Dave.
That's 32 in 2 Big 12 games.
That's a huge number. 18 points off turnovers for Baylor. They were plus 14 there. Better 3-point shooting was nice. Trevor Nell, 3 of 5. Spencer Johnson, 3 of 6. Everybody else, 3 of 13. BYU got way more twos in this game. Remember, they only made 8 twos on Saturday. Made 17, had 34 of the points come from there. Got to the line. In the first half, BYU was 7 of 7, and it was like, okay, that's good enough. The percentage obviously perfect. Didn't shoot a free throw until Trevin now got fouled on that three-pointer with like 5:45 to go or something like that. And then another takeaway, that camera angle, man. It was steep, bro.
It's almost like they designed this brand new building and people forgot to call the TV guys.
Like the top of the lower bowl is where you should put your camera.
Yeah.
Like Marriott Center kind of has a high one, but it's not as high as that.
No.
Like, okay then. So those are some of the top takeaways. Like we mentioned with free throw shooting, that was tough. So as you mentioned, 21 of 28 for Baylor, 11 of 14 for BYU.
Which is better than the 5 of 10 BYU shot against Cincinnati.
Yes,
the free throw line hasn't been their friend.
And those 3 misses were kind of in the last 5 minutes, so they felt exaggerated. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
In that. But here's Mark Pope on the free throw disparity.
Well, I'd love to give you the answer, I really think, but I won't. Our job right now is to really break into that and see how we could have done this better and kept them off the free throw line. So, there's a ton of effort and a ton of energy on the floor, and our guys are playing really tough and really hard, and we just have to. What we're going to do is we're going to really, really dig into the film and really and try and find the avenue of how we can, pacify the whistle a little bit.
So there's a certain amount of frustration, obviously, there from Mark Pope, which, by the way, obviously the water bottle moment expresses, in that moment it felt like there was either a travel or a jump ball that needed to be called, but it was a foul, and that was it was 75-70, there's under a minute to go. Now it's a technical with 2 free throws. Game kind of ends in that moment. But that was a frustrating moment for Mark Pope, for the players, for a lot of people. What I wish Mark would have said would have been what he said in 2019 after BYU lost at Utah, which sounded like this.
Officials were amazing. That's probably the best crew that's ever set foot on the planet. And I'll tell you this, a really brave and courageous crew. I mean, that crew, I would take them every single game. They're amazing.
See, that's
I wish you would have said that, but yeah, that was
the sarcasm
sarcastic.
was fantastic. What I would have wished for is if you're going to get a tee, get it earlier and get the officials' attention. That's usually why coaches do it.
Maybe during that
or
time.
Or your team's attention, something.
First 7 minutes of the second half, BYU commits 7 fouls. Baylor's in the bonus.
Get your tee right then.
They're in the double bonus at 6 minutes. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if you need to smash a water bottle, but you can find other ways to get a technical foul.
Although, don't we wish we kind of had Dave Rose's jacket from when he threw it against Gonzaga?
That's still the fastest jacket removal in the history of mankind.
Mr. Mack has never seen the likes of a jacket removal like that. That water bottle, yeah, I hope Mark Durant kept that thing and brought it back because that's something. So yeah,
were you encouraged or discouraged after watching the whole game?
Okay, once upon a time, my wife and I had a dog, and we at like 11 p.m. at night, she was like, "I don't think we should have the dog anymore." And I said, "You know when's not to discuss this? Right now. We're both tired. We're both upset. It's not the time to be overly discouraged after a loss at Baylor where you should have lost anyway." So I am encouraged by the way that BYU played overall. The connectedness was better. That was more of the BYU team basketball. Obviously, turnovers and fouls are the correctable errors right now for BYU. But I'm encouraged by better three-point shooting, by getting at the rim, by getting to the foul line a little more than they did on Saturday. You're supposed to lose at Baylor. And BYU competed well, actually led more in this game than Baylor did, by the way. And so, yes, you're like, a few things here and there, and maybe BYU wins this game, and maybe they're doing what we talked about yesterday, which is making up for the Cincinnati loss. But now is not the time to be overly discouraged about BYU basketball. You just played at Baylor, where they're 63-6 in their last 69 home games. You know, if BYU loses to UCF on Saturday afternoon, now it's time to really be discouraged. I believe BYU goes in and wins that game, and then you have Iowa State coming in Tuesday, by the way. I think just beat the only unbeaten team left in Houston in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be something. I think the frustration comes from BYU could have won that game last night, and for the most part should have won that game last night. And the Cincinnati game, Cincinnati wasn't a better team. They just turned the script in the second half, and BYU couldn't hit a shot. And so in that moment, they were the better team, I should say. But Cincinnati was a winnable game. There weren't any players out there that you thought, they are just so much better than BYU's. And so 0-2 in 2 games, you had a really good chance to win, even though one game was like, hey, you shouldn't have done that, you shouldn't have had a chance, but you did. I think that's where the frustration is. Just like in football, at 5-2, hey, it's not just going bowling, we're going to go to a decent bowl. That's where our mind goes. And these 2 games, you know, how we feel after Iowa State and Texas and Houston come to Provo, we'll judge those feelings in a week or 2 when they get here. But these first 2 games, BYU could just as easily be 2-0 and still the talk of the country, and instead they're 0-2 and looking to get some oxygen in Orlando on Saturday and go as far away from here as they're going to go and get a road win. And they've lost 7 in a row on the road.
Yep.
It's tough to do, even against a team that you're picked ahead of. The only team you're picked ahead of in the preseason poll. There's a lot of pressure on Saturday.
There really is. John Rothstein tweeted the following, and I felt, you know, that this was true. Every Big 12 game feels like an NCAA tournament game. There was an intensity to that was really good. Watching Iowa State and Houston last night, watching Cincinnati lead late in the game against Texas, and then Texas makes a basket with 6 seconds left in that game to win. Man,
it's so much fun.
It is. Yes,
it's just fun.
I never once put up multiple games in the WCC era of non-BYU and thought, I am enjoying this. This is awesome. So it's going to be tough. To your point, look down the road for BYU. So it's UCF Saturday. You have to win that game. 75% chance by Ken Pom, by the way. Iowa State at home. Whew, looks even tougher than you thought before. Texas Tech looks really good right now.
And they're at Lubbock for that.
That one's hard. And then Houston comes in, who was the last undefeated team in the country until last night. Texas comes in, who escaped in Cincinnati, as mentioned. At West Virginia, as of now, that's a quad 3. The home game with West Virginia will be. It's quad 2 on the road. At Oklahoma, who looks good. Kansas State at home. There's certain, like right now, UCF twice, West Virginia 3, Oklahoma State 4, Kansas State you're hoping to get 1 or both 5, let's say, and then Oklahoma State maybe at home 7. You've got to get like at least that to feel like you've got a shot at 19 wins going into Kansas City, maybe get a win there 20. You're in the tournament at that point. I feel like if BYU gets to 18, 19 wins, we're feeling pretty good, but a little nervous on the bubble-ish. If you get to 20, you're going to be in. So where are those wins going to come? The next one's got to be Saturday. The first one's got to be Saturday.
If it's not Saturday, and you just looked at those teams, BYU could be playing better, even their best basketball, and lose the first 9 games in the conference. Maybe even 10 if you count Kansas State before UCF comes to Provo.
At that point, you probably aren't making the tournament.
And you're thinking,
you're not going to go 6.
There's no way they're going to do that. But then you break down each individual matchup and you go, yeah, that's possible.
No auto wins. 0-9 possible, not likely. But
it starts Saturday.
You've got to win Saturday.
Yeah.
Mark Pope was asked in the postgame if he felt like there would be any regression in the Big 12. Here's what he said.
For sure, the level of competition there's going to be a little bit of regression. For the next 18 games, we're playing top 25 teams, right? So it's more of a even playing field, and it's only our second game on the road, so there's some space in there, so that's going to be something that we're going to grow into, that we're really excited about growing into. It's one of the beautiful things about being in this league as our first year, is we get to kind of figure this out and grow into this, and we will. I got guys that are really devoted and dedicated and together, and so we'll keep going into it.
The question isn't whether it's going to be tougher. We know it's going to be tougher. Right. Can BYU handle it? I believe they will be able to. What that looks like, hopefully, is at least 7-11 in the league. I think our expectations have adjusted just a little bit, seeing the first 2 games. But again, I need to see 9 games in league to really know what BYU is in this league. Yeah. And then hopefully in the back 9, we have a better understanding of what BYU is and what to expect.
The 2 first halves in the Big 12, BYU's looked like a contender.
Yeah.
The second halves of those 2 games, BYU looks like the new kid in town.
-15 and -18. 18 and 15 in those 2 games.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Only 2 games they've been out-rebounded the entire season.
Well,
You
BYU won the
go through
rebounding
whole
battle last night.
Oh, they did?
They
ended up
did.
doing that?
That didn't. So yesterday I said, hey, you look at rebounding, I can tell you what happens in the game. That didn't end up being as big a deal. It was actually turnovers and fouls, which led to free throws.